Blast this fog. I can't see a bloody thing. Look out. What do you see? What's that? Aye, that's what I get for taking on a cat as a lookout. What's that up ahead? Is it? No, it can't be. Yes, it is. It's the
Two-Cat Kitchen. It's time for us to pitch in and start another Two-Cat show. Down at the Two-Cat Kitchen, we're starting on a mission to put you in the culinary know. We've got the finest recipes you ever will find, guaranteed to show you all a mighty fine time here at the Two-Cat Kitchen. Time for a new edition of the Culinary Two-Cat Show. The Culinary Two-Cat Show.
Welcome to the Two-Cat Kitchen, the show that mixes musical mayhem with culinary calamity. Rick McKinney's here to help with the mixing.
Hey everybody, welcome to the kitchen.
Each episode features new songs, a brand new recipe, and a special musical guest. Who's our musical guest today?
Today we have guitarist, singer, songwriter Miles Duhamel.
That's great. Looking forward to spending some time with Miles. You know, every show also includes an informative segment. What do we have for the people today?
Today we have our first episode of the Two-Cat Theater.
Ooh, intriguing. Can't wait. Let's get started.
We're back at the Two-Cat Kitchen, and we're here with our special guest for this episode, our musical guest, Miles Duhamel.
Hello.
Miles, thanks for joining us. It's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. So tell us, what have you been up to lately, musically speaking? Give us an idea of what's been happening.
Musically speaking, I guess I've been writing some songs on my own, and, they don't come out too fast or anything, but... yeah, I've kind of just been doing that, and then Guest Method plays roughly like twice a month or so. We've taken a little bit of a break, so I guess a little bit of a lull, to be honest.
So Guest Method is your band that you play with. We'll talk a little bit about that later on. It's a band down here in southern New England, and good. So but you've been doing some songwriting. That's fantastic. Yeah. And so what kind of stuff are you instrumentals or vocals or kind of combination? Or
it's a combination. I think I'm definitely trying to it's easier for me to write instrumental songs. I think it just comes more naturally, which is why I try to write lyrics, because it takes more practice. I feel like, and I don't know if you guys can relate with that, but it's like it's way harder to write a complete song. So I just try to just suck at that as much as I can until something good comes out.
Lyrics is pretty scary, I think.
Yeah.
Speaking from my experience anyway, I'm a limited experience in that. It's, and, that's interesting. So, let's kind of get right into Guest Method, because I'm curious about you guys. You've been around for a few years now, I guess, right? And, no pun intended.
Yeah, we've been around since 2018. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess. So.
And how did you guys? All right, so I'm going to ask the $100,000 question here.
Sure.
Wait, I know your music. I've heard you guys. I love your music. But if you had to put it in a genre for their listeners, how would you describe it?
Broadly speaking, it's funk.
Yeah.
But I think I've also just been telling people I think it's just fun. We just try to play music that's fun.
Yeah.
And it's not 100% of the time. You know, we do have a couple of like slower songs, or we'll play some more like indie music. But yeah, I don't know. At the basis, we just try to keep people moving. If it makes us move, then hopefully it'll make somebody else move too.
Yeah, it's got a great groove to it. I think your music, it's really great, and so I think you got the base of your band is, if I recall, two guitars, bass, drums, and then you have keyboards and
and then we have Luca on the keyboards and the trumpet and also singing. We occasionally have a saxophone as well.
Okay.
It's kind of been switching off who does that, or another keyboard player. So, yeah, but at the basis, it's definitely 5 of us: me, Matt, Christian, Chris, and Luca.
Okay. And how did you guys get together? I mean, were you just friends from the start, or did you kind of run into each other at jams or something? Or?
Me and Matt and I have known each other for a really long time. I mean, since like the 5th grade, and I was like always in touch with Matt, and not on like a super close level all the time, but I remember I graduated from college in 2017, and then I moved home. I graduated a semester late, so I moved home in like December, and 2017, and then Matt and I just started hanging out like pretty much immediately after that, and I think that we didn't really have a whole lot going on, and Matt was just being like a social butterfly. We just kind of started hanging out with a bunch of people and jamming, and he didn't know how to play the bass, but he like wanted to figure it out, and so he honestly did it in a way that not most musicians are introverted, and they start because of that. He actually started playing bass totally extroverted. He just threw himself in these scenarios where there was other musicians that knew how to play, and then he just figured it out. And so it kind of started with me and Matt, and we just eventually found Chris and Christian, and I think Chris was in one of Matt's like last gen ed classes, and he had like a Zildjian shirt on, and then Matt asked him what kind of music he liked to play, and Chris said funk fusion, and then we immediately were like, we need to capitalize on this.
Yeah. On this. That's awesome. Yeah.
And then Chris was friends with Christian, who at the time was like way more into like fingerstyle electric guitar.
Okay.
But like he really like hadn't played with a pick in like a while, and he had like a nice singing voice, and we kind of had to like work on. We've always been working on getting him to sing a little louder. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you remember any of that from the sound days, but like he's always been kind of quiet.
He's got a beautiful voice. Now,
yeah,
that's the keyboard player.
Luca
with who plays the trumpet.
Yeah,
he was a later addition.
Yeah,
is that correct?
I was gonna get there. Yeah, we had played as a 4-piece for a while, and we, going in chronological order, I guess. Yeah, we had started. The 4 of us had been jamming in 2018 in my dad's basement, and we really started to find some common ground musically, and we played in Chris and Christian's college house too, and yeah, we started to really find some common ground musically, and it was really fun. And we practiced like 2 or 3 times a week, like as a full band. And I bought like this like crappy secondhand PA system, and we just like figured it out. And it was a lot of fun. And I don't know if you guys remember the bar Proof. Proof opened up next to Ponchos, and it was like struggling like at the time that we found out about it, and we played at like their open mic night, and then they were like, you should close out the open mic night, and this was on Thursday nights, and so we closed out the open mic night maybe once or maybe twice, and then they're like, you should be like our resident band on Friday nights. So it just kind of went from like this natural, like we played open mic night, and then we like played at the end of it, and then they're like, you should just be our resident band on Friday nights, and we did that, and it probably wasn't great, but we did it, and we brought all of our friends, and then I think our like really first moment when we were like, oh my God, we're a band, was first of all we had to choose our name, and then we came up with guest method, but then we had invited we'd done that a few times. Then there was like a break in college, and Christian went home, and then we came back and we had practiced. We had like some new songs, and we all just like invited everybody we knew. And Christian being at URI, there were seniors or juniors at URI, and me and Matt being from here, we just like brought all of our friends, and like 100 people showed up, and that's when we were like, oh my God, this is pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's great. Wow.
Yeah, that's
fantastic.
Great. Yeah, and you have a pretty loyal following now. When I've seen you all play, I see a lot of the same folks, and you can tell they're networking with each other. They know each other, and that's fun because that adds. You feel like you're interacting with the audience that way. You're getting that kind of immediate feedback.
Yeah.
From the audience, that's a nice dynamic.
Yeah, it is really nice. I try not to take something like that for granted when there's people that like want to support you consistently and are enjoying it, and it is like there's a relationship there.
Yeah.
Then that kind of becomes like part of the music because it fuels you.
It does. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, a lot of fun. Great environment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how'd you meet Luca?
Luca, we come to Luca. We've been playing for like a year or two, and we did a few shows at the Pump House. This was like the Pump House had become, I feel like, a pretty important venue in town because COVID hit, and Pump House was the only place that could like support shows because it was outside. Yeah, and they could like encourage like distancing and masks and stuff like that, but they could still have shows. And that was like a really big deal. I also think it was kind of when Pump House turned into a little bit more of like they had rock concerts. But we played a show with Smug Honey there probably once or twice, and I think realistically Maggie, my wife, was like Miles, like these kids are so good. And Smug Honey, Luca's original band, and Kyle, who plays with us like as much as he can, and they play like kind of a mix of like jazz and neo soul, and it's pretty groovy stuff too. It's just more jazzy, I think. And they all have such great voices, but they were all like 17 or 18 when we first played with them. We were like, who are these kids that play these really great music? And I think I just introduced myself, I think through Maggie's encouragement. I don't remember if Maggie was like, you should hang out with them or you should jam with them. But yeah, one way or another, I think I asked Luca, it's just like, you should definitely like come jam with us sometime. And then that kind of just turned into like, do you want to play a couple of shows with us? And then it was just kind of like, do you want to be my girlfriend? Do you want to kind of like asking,
exactly, yeah.
Like, do you want to be in the band? And he was like, yeah. I remember. I still remember him being like, yes. and yeah, that's when Luca joined. I think he joined in 2020 or 21.
Do you feel like it created a new dimension in the band? Just as someone who listens to you
100%.
I knew he was clearly coming in with a jazz influence. I played jazz during the 80s, during the early fusion era, and I could hear the jazz style that he was playing, and it just kind of brought you guys in a little bit different direction and really rounded out everything you were doing. At least that was my observation.
Yeah, I mean, that's mine too. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I really think it. Yeah, you said it best. I mean, it rounded out our sound. I think it also encouraged us like to songwrite in a different way. I think it encouraged us to just try to be as complete as we can, whatever that means. Something. Whereas some of our older songs, like we kind of had like a chord progression and like a melody, and then we would have, and then there was like a B section, and it would kind of go back to the A section, and then like somebody would take a solo, and that was like the song.
Yeah, a little predictable. Yeah,
it kind of like encouraged us to be more complete. Yep. I think not really Luca by saying anything. Just I think we were just like, let's like try to, I don't know, just like make more complete songs, and we've had a few like band weeks where we're usually in the middle of the winter. I don't know if we're gonna do one this year, but where we'll all go up to like a lodge and rent out a lodge for like a week, and just like snowboard and write music.
Yeah,
that's been pretty.
That's
good.
great.
We had Luca up for the last one, and yeah, it was pretty great.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, I could hear the change in the band over those years because we did sound for you often.
Yeah.
And I could see, I would call it a maturity. There was a maturity coming in the music, and when you added him, it elevated the rest of you. It was like the whole band was like now at a different level. I'm like, these guys are getting really good. Like you really worked at it. So congratulations.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It's really nice.
I think his vocals also like really like help that maturity because he's a very confident and great sounding singer, and I think it's encouraged all of us. Like it's just on one front, like vocal harmonies. I think he's really helped us like be more confident around that, and just to like do them whenever is like necessary. I guess. Yeah. Yeah.
You're working it.
Yeah.
You're working it now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
That's great.
No, it's definitely more of a full body thing for me. Like I'm like, was the first couple of years it would be like just play guitar, talk to the audience a little bit, and then like now it's like, all right, like play guitar, you got backing, you're singing back up here, and yeah, it's definitely helped me become a better musician.
Yeah, that's
for
great.
sure.
Now you've been doing some solo stuff too as well, right?
Yeah, mostly duo stuff with Julia.
Yep.
My friend Julia Asadorian. Yeah, she's when I heard her sing for the first time, I was like, holy and I was like, we got to play music together.
Oh, that's great. And now how'd you hook up with her? Is she local or?
Yeah, she's local, and we have a bunch of mutual friends. Yeah, I saw like a video of her singing, and then I introduced myself. Like, we had known each other, but I was just like, Julia, like, can we please like jam sometime? And then I think she would tell it better because my memory's kind of messed up, but we didn't hit each other up, and I think she said that it was only like a couple of days after we had made a loose plan. I went with Maggie to the beach at the Bay campus, and she was there, and I was like in the middle of writing a new song, and this was actually one of the only times I was having an easier time with lyrics, and I just saw her, and I knew how I wanted the song to go, and then I was just like, come here, like like can you try this out? And she just tried it out, and we immediately had musical chemistry, and she sang the song really well, and I was just like, wow, this is pretty great. So
that's cool.
Yeah, that was really, it's been nice being in that setting with just her, because that's another angle to experience, songwriting or just playing songs in, because so much the song relies so much more on just me and her. She's singing it, and then I'm trying to just like provide the foundation and sing some backup, and not really taking as many solos unless I have a loop pedal with me.
Oh, good. That's great. Well, anxious to hear that music.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, we'll release some music at some point.
Yeah.
Once again, it's just that never ending, like gotta release music. But yeah, we have a couple of songs, and we gotta put them out there. We have music on our Instagram, Julia Miles Music, but we gotta put it on some streaming platforms, make it a little bit more. You guys would laugh, but more permanent, I guess. Nobody makes physical music anymore. Nobody, puts it on really too many things anymore, like CDs or some artists do records now. But either way, just got to make some music.
Yeah, and record it for sure.
Yeah. All right, well, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back here on the Two Cat Kitchen. We're back at the Two Cat Kitchen, and Miles, you, I believe Guest Method has put out an album.
Yes.
You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, we just put out an EP called Retrosite, and yeah, I guess we have. Oh man, what do we have? 6 songs on there? 7 songs?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was just released on Halloween, and the songs have been a long time coming, and I'm very happy to finally have like a cohesive, record out there.
Nice, yeah. And it's a mixture of, there's some instrumentals and some vocals as well, just kind of like you guys do. And
yeah, so we have 6 songs on there. Really, the first 3 songs are kind of part of the same thing, and yeah, it's instrumental, and then lyrics, instrumental, and then we have another song with lyrics, and then the next 2 have lyrics as well. So yeah, definitely a mix of funky, groovy stuff, and then there's a pretty heartfelt song in there. Yeah, we had a lot of fun making this for sure.
so I'm curious about your style of guitar playing, and which I've always found very interesting. The times that I've heard you, how did you develop that? You have any thoughts on that? How you became the guitar player you are? I mean, do you have some influences, or just kind of stuff you picked up?
I feel like I through trying or not trying, I just feel like I'm always changing. Like what is interesting to me is always changing. So I just feel like I'm always trying to like grab things from different places nowadays. But foundationally speaking, definitely just like a rock guitar player. Like I always was just like enamored with, as a kid, with like Angus Young and AC/DC.
Yeah.
That was my first like real love as a musically, was them. And then I got into really heavy metal for like all of middle school and high school. So I don't know how much of that is like totally like in my playing nowadays, but some of it definitely is. Like the names of some of the guitar players, like I was a really big fan of this guy Jeff Loomis, who's like this really incredible like neoclassical metal guitar player. That was always really interesting to me. But then I started to, I don't know what happened, but like I heard Jerry Garcia for the first time. And I was like, that's really pretty. Like I had never really gave about like pretty sounding guitar. It was always just like what sounds electric to me, like and what sounds like really like impressive. And but I think when I heard him, I just started to like ease up a little bit and be like, what if I just like really listen to like this tone and try to get like this really clear tone out of my guitar, and like what if I'm more patient, and then I started to really get into funk music when I was like in college. I think funk music's really had a revival in the last like 10 or 15 years. Once I learned how to play like a dominant 7th chord, it was all over. I was just like I can play a dominant 7th chord, and then my right hand can just go and then I can just like we can just have a party just doing that. And as I've gotten older, jazz has definitely interested me a lot more in a really steady way. I'm not the most proficient music theorist, but I know my way around a little bit. And if somebody tells me to play like a sharp 11 chord or something, I have to count all the way up until 11 and like make sure I'm playing the right thing. But Eric has actually taught me a lot in the last like year or a couple of years, just about harmony. And I think that's like really been my main interest in the last year, guitar playing wise, is just like how can I like puzzle together like really interesting sounds, and how can I add as many spices as I can, kind of the thing.
Yeah, guitar is like, there's so much to guitar that, it's not possible to it's always something that you can, learn more about, I think.
I just heard this Les Paul quote, and I think he was like in his 90s when he was saying this, but he was just like, guitar is the most amazing thing that you'll like never fully understand.
Yeah, that kind of sums it up. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
We're back at the Two Cat Kitchen, and Miles, you have a song for us that you're gonna do?
Yeah. The song is called Forward Looking, and I think it was at a time where I just was like trying to insistently be optimistic, and also just, even though it's instrumental, I think it just kind of helped inspire some optimism and like, I don't know, like confidence or something like that. And like feeling like really big, like being like I'm big, like I can do this. So hopefully that's what that song feels like when you listen to it.
All right, well, let's check it out. So, Miles, one of the things we ask everybody here in the Two Cat Kitchen is, what was your first musical memory?
I feel like I want to answer this in a couple ways, like in a personal way, like with guitar. I mean, there's so many ways, like guitar or listening to music or going to a concert.
That's fine. All three was
just
good.
All three of them? Yeah? Okay. I think my first musical memory, my very first one, my mom, the first album that I like got familiar with, or music that I knew, was Peter, Paul and Mary. That was like my first, as a child, like she would play that in my CD, like the CD player, when I was like going to bed, and it was like their greatest hits. So I got really familiar with like Puff the Magic Dragon and like Leaving on a Jet Plane and If I Had a Hammer, had a hammer in the morning, and that one. And I honestly still adore that music. And yeah, so I loved that music growing up. And then I remember like hearing, like getting into hard rock and hearing the sound of the guitar and being like, this is so cool, and just being really enamored by the sound of electric guitar. And I think I'd asked my parents, and my grandfather, really it was my parents, but for my birthday, when I was 12, they got me a Squire and a little tiny solid state Fender amp and a few lessons down. Actually, I grew up on Hunt Ave, like over near Wakefield Elementary School, and at the time there was a music store at the bottom of High Street where there's now the laundromat. I forget what the music store was called, but I took some guitar lessons there, and but I still remember getting that Stratocaster. Yes, like Fender Squire. Was it Squire Stratocaster? I don't know.
It's a Squire, yeah.
It's a Squire, yeah.
I remember those, yeah.
But I played the hell out of that thing, and I loved that guitar. And I immediately was like, I want to learn how to play Crazy Train. And he was like, hold on a second. And I got there. I got to Crazy Train as fast as I could. And concert-wise, my first concert was Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah.
So I was a huge fan of Ozzy Osbourne and like Black Sabbath. And my dad took me to see him at the Worcester Centrum. Oh. And yeah, it was a funny concert, honestly. A pretty weird concert for like a 14-year-old to be at. But yeah, I loved it. I still remember Rob Zombie opened up. I don't know if you guys know who Rob Zombie is, but he's maybe more famous for being a director of horror movies as he is as being like a metal vocalist. But yeah, it was fun. I got to see Zakk Wylde. He was like one of my other huge influence when I was like 13 years old. But he plays like the Bullseye, black and white like Bullseye Les Paul. It's honestly, to me, the now pretty cheesy guitar, but like he was great.
Well, it'll be in a museum someday.
It most certainly will be. Yeah,
it's great.
I guess those are my first musical memories. Yeah, nice.
Excellent.
Wow, yeah, that's great.
Thank you so much for being with us tonight here at the Two Cat Kitchen. And one of the things we ask our guests to bring to the program is a favorite recipe. So do you have something in mind that you'd like to share with us?
Ramen noodles.
Ramen noodles.
I'm just kidding.
The packaged ones, right?
Yeah, the packaged ones. No. I've slowly learned because of Maggie, my wife, how to make food. And I really didn't. I didn't really make a whole lot of food growing up, but I think my favorite meal to make would be like garlic lemon salmon over like pesto rice.
Ooh, wow, that sounds really good.
Yeah.
So is this like a garlic lemon marinade or something you put on the salmon? Or?
Honestly, I feel like I kind of forget how I do it every time, and it comes out probably a little differently each time. But I'll like start with making like the pesto, and the pesto is, if it's the summer, I can just grab a bunch of basil and then like maybe a little bit of like arugula, and I'll blend up that and like some pine nuts and like a ton of olive oil, and then like maybe a little bit of cheese in the pesto.
Like a hard cheese or something.
Yeah, like Parmesan or something.
Yeah.
And then I'll have the pesto ready. And if I'm trying to go in order, then I'll do the rice. I'll probably get some quality brown rice from the South County bulk food store. I'll get that going.
Like a brown rice.
A brown rice, probably.
Short grain, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. Short grain, yeah. And it usually takes like a million cups of water because it's never soft enough. Like I don't know how I can improve that, but yeah. And then once it gets towards the end, I'll usually boil it in like a bone broth or something so that it like absorbs that.
Nice,
and then like throw some butter in there once it's close to done. And then I'll get the grill going for the salmon, and I'll just get a slab of salmon, and I'll just I feel like it's probably better ways to do this. So like I've sauteed a little bit of garlic before just to get it like a little bit crispy, because like the time it takes for salmon to cook isn't quite enough for garlic to get crispy.
So this would be like cloves of garlic.
Yeah,
maybe
I'll get
chopped
like
up.
a few. I'll get like a few probably chop them in half or something.
Okay.
And then I'll just get like half a lemon and just like squeeze it all over the salmon, and then the maybe like a little bit of pepper, and then the garlic maybe a little bit sautéed just to help the flavoring out, and I'll just wrap that up in some tinfoil. I might put some butter in there too, and wrap it up in some tinfoil and throw it on the grill on like medium, and then it's done in like 5-7 minutes, something like that. I gotta be careful though, because it's like so easy to overcook salmon.
I was gonna ask how you do the salmon on the grill, because it's a tough fish.
I just open it up and check,
yeah,
and just open it up with a fork, and if it's not too pink, and then I'll leave it on for like another 30 seconds or a minute, and then I'll take it off and just cut it up in half and serve it to Maggie and I over the rice and over the pesto rice.
Pesto rice. Yeah. So then you add the pesto into the rice.
I'll mix. I missed that part. Yeah, I'll add the pesto into the rice and mix it up, and so it's like nice and buttery, pesto-y, and then and then I'll have like the nice, juicy, flavorful salmon over it. I could eat that every night.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds great, man.
That's it.
Yeah, fantastic.
Put that on the list.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Can't get any better than that.
No.
Right here on the Two Cat Kitchen.
So Miles, we talked a lot about your musical influences over the years, and you said you've been messing with a new song here, a cover. Mm-hmm. That's been kind of fun for you to play lately. Can you tell us a little bit about it? And
yeah, I want to play "Skin It Back" by Little Feat, and I just like totally fell in love with Little Feat a couple of years ago after I saw them at Rhythm and Roots.
Oh yeah.
And I saw all of your guys' generation just like be glued to the stage, and I was just like, this band is clearly like the real deal. And then I saw them, and I was like, oh my god, this band is the real deal. They're incredible. And then I've probably listened to the Waiting for Columbus album like 50 times since in the last couple of years. And when I found Skin It Back, that song, I just love the spirit of it, and it's such an awesome, like, funky, bluesy song, and I love the lyrical content of it too. Just kind of sounds like the struggles of a touring musician, kind of like poured into a song. Mm-hmm. And
Right.
So definitely love it. And for what it's worth, I'm gonna try and sing it and play it. Take place, something to take me away from this race, round city to city, town to town, running around in the shoes of a clown, and that desperate, no kind hound, desperado, a thief of love. My business is the street, I be shaking them down,
old Colorado. Texas, she's nice, but Georgia's oh so sweet. Still away with me, darling, your loving just can't be beat. So it seems that the world keeps on turning, but so what? I don't doubt it. It just keeps on the move. You're a dream, and that's all that I ask for. So well now, I'm wondering just how I'm gonna tell it to you. Skin it back. Something real, something to feel. I can't find a soul. Take on this mess. It's those rock and roll hours, early grays without flowers. Please, please, darling, put my mind at rest. I'm begging, please, darling, put my mind at rest. So it seems that the world keeps on turning, but so what? I don't doubt it. It just keeps on the move. You're a dream, and that's all that I ask for. So well now, I'm wondering just how I'm gonna tell it to you. Skin it back. Tell it to you. Skin it back. Tell it to you. Skin it back. Tell it to you. Skin it back.
Next up, it's Two Cat Theater, featuring the world premiere of the radio play Raton Rojo, a mystery thriller that will have you on the edge of your seat. Let's check it out. Welcome to Two Cat Theater with your host, Raoul Persinger. Tonight, we have a dramatization of the play Raton Rojo, featuring intrigue, deception, and redemption. It takes place in a distant time, in a distant city, perhaps your city, if you happen to live in a city. We follow the exploits of one LaRue, private investigator. They call him Spanky, as he endeavors to recapture the Raton Rojo, a priceless statue. Now, without further ado, Raton Rojo, Part 1. Our story begins in the office of private investigator Leon Spanky LaRue.
Go away.
What's that smell?
You. Of all the officers in all the cities in the world, you walk into mine.
I don't think we've ever met.
I'll be the judge of that.
I'm Esmerelda Swink, and this is my twin sister Antoinette.
Twins? You don't look anything alike.
We were separated at birth.
I see. Well, I'm glad that I could facilitate you being reunited. I'll send you my bill, standard rates.
That's not why we're here.
Tell him the real.
Shut up. We're looking for our brother Bartholomew. He's been missing since he was last seen.
What makes you think he's missing? Maybe he just hasn't been found yet.
We have our reasons.
Oh, please, Mr. Spanky, you must help us. We're desperate. Tell him the whole story, everything.
I said shut up. Let me handle this.
And the name's LaRue. Leon LaRue. And what's this story?
Now see what you've done. I told you to keep your mouth shut.
No, not this time. I've had enough. It's time to tell the truth.
Why, that's it. You've gone too far, and you're gonna pay.
Hey, take it easy. Watch the woodwork.
Shut up!
It appears you threw your sister out the window.
What if I did? I've had enough of her.
Evidently. She doesn't seem to be moving. This could be no bueno for you. Maybe I'd better take this case after all. Hey, come back! Well, this is a fine kettle of fish.
Later that evening at Spanky's apartment.
Open up, LaRue. We know you're in there. Come on. Open up or we'll break it down.
All right, hold your haunches, I'm coming. Can't get any peace these days.
Evening, Spanky. Long time no see. I believe you know Lieutenant Bibby.
Well, if it isn't my old friend, Detective Pepe Caldus, to what do I owe this pleasure?
Quit the small talk, LaRue. You know why we're here. Concerning a cat we think you know well, or knew well, by the name of Toby Stig.
Never heard of him.
A likely story. As we're sure you know, Stig was found mauled over by the fish packing plant. Murdered by you.
You ought to get your facts straight before you come busting in the cat's apartment. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah? Well, then, how do you explain the body found on the sidewalk below your office window?
Oh, that. Probably a simple coincidence. She probably just happened to croak while she was walking by.
She? How did you know it was a female?
Oh, just a lucky catch.
And it was obvious death resulted from a fall, from a substantial height, from your office window.
That's crazy. She probably fell from the window just above mine.
Your office is on the top floor, Spanky.
You better come clean, LaRue.
Come on, Spanky. We know you did. We believe you met with one Esmerelda Swink earlier aujourd'hui.
And what if I did?
Who just happened to be in cahoots with the swindler, Toby Stig?
She didn't mention brother.
He has no brother. Come on, admit it. Stig took care of her sister by throwing her out of your office window, and then you bumped him off, probably to avoid a double cross.
A nice story, gentlemen. But you're neglecting one thing. What was their motive in all this?
We're not so sure about that, but we think it's connected with the statue, the Raton Rojo.
The what? I've never heard of this Raton whatever. Better take your wild fantasies elsewhere. I had nothing to do with either murder.
We'll see about that. Meantime, keep yourself in sight so we know where to find you. Enjoy your evening.
Well, this is a fine kettle of fish. Guess I'm gonna have to get to the bottom of this mess.
Our story continues in the lobby of a certain hotel.
I'm sorry, sir. We have no one here registered under that name.
There must be. Esmerelda Swink, or was it Spink? I don't know, anyway. She called me from here, from her room. She said to meet her in the lobby at 9 o'clock.
Sorry. No one under that name.
You're nuts. Check it again.
If she said to meet her in the lobby at 9 o'clock, why don't you just do that? It's 8:25 now, and the lobby is right over there.
No, you don't get it. I'm trying to get the skinny on her first, before the meeting. Find out where she's coming from. It's the nature of my business.
Well, I can't help you there, seeing as this person doesn't even seem to exist. Ah, Miss Fellini, there's a message for you.
Fellini, my tail. What happened to Esmerelda Stink?
It's Lenore Fellini, and I have no idea what you're talking about. In fact, I have never seen you before. Let's go somewhere else where we can talk.
Lucy, you've got some splaining to do.
It's Lenore, not Lucy, and Esmerelda was just a ruse to get you off my trail.
Off your trail? I thought you wanted me to find your brother.
All right, I admit it. He's not my brother. He was my partner, and a dirty double-crosser at that. He took advantage of me and probably killed Stig. But I have no idea who killed Bartholomew.
Whoa. What do you mean, killed him? How do you know he's dead? And what's the point of me finding him if he is?
Forget all that. The real story is Bartholomew is dead, and I'm in trouble. That's why I need your help.
Excuse me for not following your line of reasoning here, but exactly why are you in trouble? And how do you need my help?
You have to help me find out who committed the murders.
Murders? I thought you said this Bartholomew cat killed Tubby Stig, and we all know who killed your sister.
Oh, her. She wasn't my sister, just someone I met at the bus stop. She was trying to double-cross me as well. But as you saw, I beat her to it.
Okay, well, we can take that one off the books. But you say you know who murdered Stig, and we don't even know if this Bartholomew cat is dead.
Quit trying to confuse me. You know what you need to do, so just get on with it. I'd better get out of here before they find me.
Wait! Just what I need. Another nutcase. What a fine kettle of fish. Although, I am curious. What kind of trouble is she in? But then again, you know what they say about curiosity and cats.
Later that evening, Spanky approaches the door to his office.
Looks like I may have company. Whatever you're looking for, you won't find it in there.
Ah, Mr. Spanky. Fancy meeting you here. What a pleasure.
Yeah, well, it is my office.
Yes, very good point. Well taken. How have you been, Mr. Spanky? Long time no see.
I don't recall ever seeing you before.
Ah, yes. Allow me to introduce myself. Johnny Hairball, at your service. I believe you and I might be looking for the same thing. Perhaps we may be able to join forces.
The only thing I'm looking for is a way out of this mess. What exactly, might I ask, are you looking for?
Cut the kitty a little, Mr. Spanky. I think you know exactly what I'm looking for. In fact, I believe you may have this item in your possession.
The only thing I have right now is a desire to kick your tail out of my office.
Let's cut to the chase, Mr. Spanky. I'm prepared to offer you $5,000 for this item, for the figure of the red mouse.
What? I have no idea what you're talking about. Clear out of here before I...
Enough of the drama, Mr. Spanky. You see, by this gun, directly pointed in your direction, that I mean business. Now will you kindly stand aside while I search your office for this figure? Excuse me, Mr. Spanky, but would you happen to have any type of blunt object with which I could probe further into this closet?
Oh, like this baseball bat?
Perfect. Hand it over.
Well, that'll take care of him for a while. Plenty of time to go through his pockets and find out who he really is.
A few moments later.
Welcome back to the real world. I can tell by your ID, you are who you say you are. But what's your game?
Oh, very astute of you, Mr. Spanky. All the more reason for us to join forces. I can now offer you a lucrative package of compensation to work for my organization to further our mutual quest to search for the figure.
What organization? And what is this figure? Why would I be looking for it?
Ah, yes. Well, excellent questions. I'm so glad you've seen the light and will be joining with us. I suggest we repair to the nearest watering hole where all will be revealed.
Well, ain't this a fine kettle of fish?
Be sure to join us next time on Two Cat Theater for another exciting chapter in the search for the Raton Rojo.
Well, that's all we have time for in this episode of the Two Cat Kitchen.
We'd like to thank our musical guest, Miles Duhamel, and special thanks to Dewni, Willem, Conley, and Jeff Tabor.
Join us next time, right here at the Two Cat Kitchen.
The Culinary Two Cat Show.